Couple of things. I want to go through some things that have popped up from new students over the last couple of weeks. And I think it's important that we all understand this because you're out there every day, putting your name out there, and you've got to understand what resources you have. I've received a couple of situations regarding new investors, new people in this group, new members of the owner forum, who are out there talking to brokers and trying to get deals done. And they're just putting their foot in it a little bit. And it's just experience. That's all it is. And I just want to clarify a couple of things. One of them happened to be a situation where, and let me read to you, I'm not going to mention any names because I'm not here to call anybody out unless it's Mike Gilbert. Let me read to you what this new student put in an email to a seller or to the seller's broker. All right. And then I'm going to tell you what he said wrong. And then I'm going to tell you how you correct it. Okay. And it all came about because the broker wanted a proof of funds letter. All right. I mean, for crying out loud, here we go again with a proof of funds letter. And when you hear this, you will understand better how to overcome the burden of a proof of funds letter. I can get you a proof of funds letter, but I don't want to. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of your money because it's going to cost you money. It costs me money to get it from my client who has millions in the bank. So what I told them to say was, unfortunately, we do not provide proof of funds statements or release our financials at this point in the transaction. Okay, perfect. That's perfect. Then he goes on to say, we syndicate these investments and have a large pool of equity investors we can draw from to provide the required equity. All right. That one line you never want to use with a seller. The seller does not want to hear that you're syndicating the deal. That's code for, I don't have the money. Okay. So just don't say it. Don't use the word syndication. You're going to syndicate. That's fine. But the seller at this stage of the game doesn't need to know how your deal is going to be done. You can say something like, the guy says, where do your funds come from? Well, it really depends upon how the deal pencils out when it's done. If it's a great deal, my partner and I are going to close on it ourselves. If it's too big or something, we can get out there and use our group of investors. So what I told them to say is this: whenever a broker says something like that to you, or you're trying to say something to the broker, all you want to say is my partners and I. That's it. My partners and I. So for instance, when you talk about the proof of funds letter, say my partners and I do not disclose our personal financial information at this stage of the negotiations. All right. So when it comes to that point, do not tell the seller you are syndicating the deal. That's code for you don't have any money. And you may not have any money, but we're not going to let the world know. Okay. Now, there was another situation that came up that was actually, this one was a new one on me. It happened to be a new one on a very experienced investor on this call. Neither one of us had ever seen this before, but this was a request from the seller's broker to a new member of the owner forum. And we just kind of scratched our heads. Let me just kind of give it to you and see if you guys can really figure out what the dilemma is here, or why this is such a ridiculous request. The seller's broker wanted references for sellers that we've recently worked with. Okay. Now just think about that for a second. Now, one of the beautiful things about the owner forum is we give you all the tools to overcome any roadblock you have. One of them happens to be a real estate resume. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. You can use mine. You can use, your KP like Bob. Bob and I I actually have a document on my computer that I just forward over when this is needed. That's my properties and Bob's properties. And man, once you drop this on a broker's desk, they sit back and shut up. All right. So don't worry about, the broker wants to see what deals I've done. Don't worry about it. You're working with us. We'll show you our real estate resume. But one thing that we will not give you, because we don't have it, not only do we not have it, we don't even have permission to give it out, is we're not going to give you the names and phone numbers and contact information for people or entities that we've purchased property from, because they're gone. I mean, that entity was for a single purpose entity, and that single purpose is now done. The property's been sold. Those people are gone. Not only that, but I don't have the authority or the permission to give out that contact information to a third party. It's just, I don't have that authority. I don't have that permission, and I'm not going out looking for it. So Bob and I were the ones who were talking about this on Saturday, and it's, what it boils down to is there's something wrong going on with this deal, that the seller is looking for that information, because I've never been asked it before. Bob has never been asked for this before. It doesn't make any sense. And why does he want it? Is he really going to go call the guy? Yeah, we closed on that deal. What else do you want to know? Yeah, we closed on the deal. This check cleared. It just doesn't make any sense. So when I saw that request, even Bob saw that request, Bob calls me up and says, have you ever seen this before? I said, never. In all my years, I've never seen that type of thing happen. Yeah, but some of this stuff, it's none of their business. And I don't even want to disclose it. Because remember, what you're doing is you're giving your enemy bullets for their gun. You know, they're giving you reasons to prejudge you. And you don't want to do that. You know, because they're not your friends. They're not there to do you any favors. So just be very careful when you're giving out information about yourself, your company, and your personal financials, especially to the brokers. Brokers are not your friends ever, ever.